Hello, found footage fans, and welcome to We Found a Tape. Join us as we hit play and uncover what lies beyond the tape. Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of We Found a Tape, and today we're back on Found TV and we're coming to you with another blind watch special. I'll get there eventually.
Blind as a bat.
Yeah. So we're doing a blind watch special, and ultimately what that means is we pick 3 movies each from Found TV, ones that we were interested in, and we put them through a wheel spin generator until the death. And this is the first time I've actually won one of these. Every time I think it's been David that we've done one of these, so it was nice to win a round for a change.
I lost.
Yeah,
So sad.
but and I said this, I think you still also won at the end of the day, because today's movie we're going to be talking about Jabberjaw, and Jabberjaw is an alien sci-fi found footage film by Luke Genton. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, and which is perfect because everything about aliens is what you love, David.
Yeah, you could say I won.
So we both won.
That's fair to say.
So we both win. I'll put confetti in here so that we look cool. But yeah, it was. It's been a while since we've done one of these. I think since we last put an episode related to Found TV, so much has came out. There's been so much coming out on Found TV, so much great stuff, and we just had to dive back into it.
Yeah, I'm stoked, man. They've been pumping out the content here the last couple of months. So usually every month they've got a schedule that comes out. If you get the content creator emails, they've got a whole list. I mean, they put it out on Instagram and everywhere else, but yeah, they're putting out some stuff every month. So the library just keeps growing and growing and growing. So, I'm excited to see what it looks like a year from now.
Which is it's so great for the found footage genre. Maybe it's not good for us because now we're just constantly adding more and more and more to our watch list, and it's turning into Himalaya, the Himalaya found footage iceberg that we're going into. No, I'm kidding. Always good.
Welcome to another episode of We Found a Tape, episode 386.
From just Found TV.
Yeah.
Oh man, can you imagine when we get to 300 plus episodes? Like, I can't even imagine what the landscape of found footage is going to be like.
If we get to 300 episodes, I'm eating a whole rotisserie chicken while we're doing the podcast.
That's actually a fun idea. Let's do that. Three. Maybe every 100 episodes we should have a rotisserie special, and we we just talk. Like, we don't really do a movie. We just talk. We'll invite people on. If they're vegan, they can eat a rotisserie tofu.
Sounds good.
Gofurkey or whatever.
I wonder if it comes in the shape of a chicken. That's interesting.
Yes, we'll see.
I could ask a vegan that.
We'll see. Yeah, that's a fun idea. But yeah, the winner was Jabberjaw from 2025 by Luke Genton, and I had seen the trailer for this before. I'd also seen a video posted on Final Footage Instagram page. He's great for sharing found footage scenes in movies and just found footage movies in general, and he works with Found TV as well. So that's kind of where I found out about it, and then I saw the buzz of people talking about it on Instagram, and yeah, I saw it was, I think it was number 4 on the list on Found TV by the time we'd saw it, and I was really excited to dive into it.
Yeah, it was overall a good pick, man. Anything Alien, I've said it before, time and time again, that I'm down to watch it. Um, but yeah, before we dive into um, reviewing it, let's hit everybody with that good old synopsis.
Hell yeah. Jabberjaw. Jabberjaw? The fuck? Guys.
Jabberjaw!
I've got fucking Jabberjaw. Fucking, oh,
This is one for the outtakes.
hell yeah. Okay. Jabberjaw from 2025 follows two women, one of them from an abusive relationship, who go out to the woods for a quiet time, and in turn, they experience an otherworldly encounter.
Oh, I like that.
Hell yeah.
And that's essentially how the movie starts out, right? We start looking at a girl with a black eye looking at herself in the mirror. She's playing with her little pocket camera, and the abuser is passed out on the couch snoring away. And that's where the movie starts. She's leaving, just texting her friend, hey, how about a weekend getaway? Girls only. She's down for it. And then right away she starts looking up cheap places to stay. Cheap Airbnbs is what she's looking for. So right away you already know you're gonna get what you bargained for. You get your money's worth.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was funny. It was well, one thing I want to start with actually is the body cam that she's wearing. It's an interesting vehicle for the found footage element. For me, that's always a huge point. I think you need a justification for keeping it on and filming everything. And I think this movie does that really well with the inclusion of the body cam. That gives you a POV from the character of Dylan, and her relationship is obviously abusive to the point where she has to wear a body cam, which is fucked. And that gives you that justification. And as well, when you see her starting, she's looking up tutorials on how to cover up a black eye and stuff like that, and that's really, so it's quite a somber start to it. And then we go from this abuse to her friend who's on like a cam site, I guess, and she's asking people about her tip menu and all that, and she's showcasing herself, and probably has a decent following from that, and just sort of carefree, fun, bubbly. Like, it's such a juxtaposition between the two characters initially, and I think it really does a good job of sort of setting you in that world. And a nice little mix of screen life too. You mentioned there she looks up like cheap weekend trips,
Yeah.
and that's always a nice touch. It's always like a different avenue of that found footage genre that comes in there. It lends itself so well. So that was a fun little touch for me as well.
Right. And I have to say, the friend definitely found a cheap spot. It was like a campground, and they were right next to a cabin. And this friend was a bad friend because she was too cheap to, splurge and get the cabin. Had they stayed in the cabin, it might have ended up differently. But we'll see as we go.
Yeah, I thought it was funny too because she's looking on the site, and it's like for travelers, for RVers, and all that sort of thing. Like, she's already made up her mind. She's like, oh, yep, cheap girls trip, girls camping trip, is what she mentions. But yeah, it's fun sort of starting there. It's really like starts so somber of her, in her relationship, and we see them come together and the camaraderie between the two. Actually, when I was watching it, I kind of got vibes of like Charman when we watched that. Like, it has those. It's like a female-led Charman because in terms of the camaraderie that they have with each other, I like the dynamic that they have as a friend group.
Yeah, absolutely. And they played off each other really well, as if they were really best friends, down to reading each other's emotions, the bickering back and forth, the shit talking, the loud, obnoxious yells of the word penis. That was interesting. But just like a guy, a couple guys go out, titties, they had to yell about something. So I totally get that.
Did you ever play that game when you were younger, David?
No, I did not play any penis games.
No, you didn't play any penis games. we had a show in the UK. It was called Dick and Dom in the Bungalow, and they
that just sounds bad already.
Yeah, it was dumb. It was super dumb, but it was entertaining. It was these two guys. They just would do the fucking most obscene, gross shit. And they would go to like public places and film themselves playing bogeys, which was basically the same premise where you start off quiet and then you get louder and louder, and they would register like the scale of how loud they shouted it. And you could tell like they went into like a library, they went into like awkward places where you shouldn't be doing that. And like it got tense. So it brought me back to childhood. Jabberjaw brought me back to childhood, which was fun.
Nice. It's always nice to watch something that takes you back.
Yeah. And it also gives me vibes of like Willow Creek, because they're going on this little road trip. The camaraderie between them, they're stopping at these little like sites along the way. So it's, I think when I saw the website that popped up on the screen for them, it was like an hour and 20-minute drive. So they clearly just basically drove up the road, stopped at a few stops along the way, and got some extra footage to sort of bring that all together. And that comes to another sort of justification of them ensuring that they were filming everything, because she started to like take video for what was it, Big Richard 69,
right?
So she was like filming the whole time because she had to document her trip for one of her paying clients.
Oh, the joys of the internet.
Exactly. But yeah, that's a fun little touch. It's, again, it grounds it in that reality. Like there's a justification, although it's small in terms of the description of it, and it's short. It takes 2 seconds to just be like, oh yeah, I'm filming for like one of my clients, and then for her, like she's wearing a body cam, like so she's like, yeah, it's gotten to that point where I have to wear a body cam, so she's like, oh yeah, for blackmail, makes sense.
Yeah, it was a nice touch that they gave reasoning for the cameras, with the abusive relationship, and of course, the content creator. Yeah. So it's nice. Usually if there's just a camera involved, we're documenting. It's always cool too when they specifically say that they're documenting. It gives a reason. It's just not somebody randomly walking around with a camera. People are asking, why do you have the camera?
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And yeah, it was good. Like there was a lot of there was a lot of them driving up to where the cabin's located. They stop along the way. They bump into they stop in at this little like gas station. And she goes in the store and meets some weird guy who gives her a free T-shirt for his website, Weird World, and that's where it's planting the seeds sort of early that this is going to be some form of alien thing, right? It's some sort of, rather than like a cryptid, because they focus heavily on the alien segment of that little video that he gets her to watch from his website or whatever.
Yeah, it obviously tells you that there's been stories in the area that they're going to as far as sightings, things like that. So we already get a little, like you said, little breadcrumbs here and there of what's to come.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. It's really grounds it into that, again, that realism. It builds the lore, builds the story as they're really going up. Because really, when you're doing those sort of travel segments of found footage films, usually there's not too much to go on, unless there's like a real like comedic performance or like a real serious talk that they're having. Generally, it's that's part of the mundane part of it is really the journey up. is when they're doing that, when they get to the place where they're going to go hiking or things like that. Unless they're like partying or whatever, there's never really too much going on. And it's evident a bit in this one. There's a lot of showcasing of areas around, and there's not really much of them on camera when they're doing that, and it's sort of like an overlay of audio of just them, like, explaining how they're going for a swim, for example, and she's going to put her phone in the water, and then it's got like this scene of like under the water and all the bubbles and the fountains and things like that. They're looking for the big gusher.
The big gusher,
yeah.
Yes, indeed.
It's always hard to get through, and I think they made a conscious effort to try and get you from that point A to point B in order for them to get to that cabin and in the woods. So although it wasn't, I noticed some sound things. It's really, I'd be nitpicking if I was really going to dive deep into it, but I like the attention to detail for that.
Little quick story. So going back to the whole shouting of penis. So I'm watching this at work, right? So I'm sitting at my desk, and I've got a couple of people around me. And if I'm watching something, I usually don't have it too loud. And I can see what you're talking about, the sound, because when they start yelling stuff, that tends to go higher than everything in the movie. Well, I'm over here and she's yelling penis, penis, penis. And then I'm getting the side eye from one of my, coworkers. And it's like, it's not my penis that they're yelling about. So we don't have to worry about it. Just mind your business.
Oh my God. Yeah, because it gets crispy, because it's like,
yes,
because they're screaming so loud.
Yeah,
it's real crispy. That's the joys of low budget found footage that we know and love.
Yes.
David had his own experience of penis shouting.
Yeah.
At work.
Yeah. I might end up in HR on Monday. We'll see. Hopefully
not. Just blame Jabberjaw.
Yeah, just blame Jabberjaw.
And then in that sort of period where they're driving up through to the location, they make a couple of pit stops. That's where we start to learn more about the title itself is quite an odd phrase when you really think about it. I think there's like a shark cartoon called Jabberjaw, which I found while looking up, like trying to find things like trailers and videos about Jabberjaw. There was a lot of cartoons about a shark. So I had to specify this was Jabberjaw 2025. But that's kind of where we get that information about what Jabberjaw is, and they entail it to a guy they went to high school with who would mimic people, and he would make fun of them by pretending to speak like them, and how annoying he was and how much they didn't like him. And it's quite interesting, again, because of the story that we find, that we come to find in terms of the aliens and the creatures that they come into contact with. So again, it's that conscious effort to try and build this lore and in that journey, which I think is really, again, commendable, and really helps to build the story. I really appreciated that.
Yeah, absolutely. So when they get up to the campsite, right? So they're setting up the tent. They're kind of going back and forth. I really liked, in a sense that they're really having a girls' weekend. They bust out the wine. They're talking about problems. They busted out the cowboy hats because they're out in the woods camping. So there's a lot of coming together there. There's a lot of bickering back and forth. You really appreciate things like that. When you have whether it's 1, 5, whatever, when they all mesh together. Because when you have like a movie with like 5 random people that make no sense and they're just not clicking together, it kind of throws you off a bit as far as where the story's going to go. And it might not pay off in the end too if there's no connection, there's no story, there's no bonding between them. And these 2 actresses, they did it really well. They really acted as they were truly 2 best friends escaping life and going out on the weekend.
Yeah, Yeah, I appreciated that as well. I think Alexis Ingram had a great performance as many. I'm going to absolutely butcher the name, but I'm so sorry. But Olivia Koshatafe, maybe that's how you pronounce it. But she plays Dylan in the movie, and yeah, I thought the camaraderie between the two of them was like girl fun, and it's not a common thing that you see in film in general. Never mind in a low budget found footage movie. So the way that they were able to translate that across the screen, I think, was really just awesome. I think it really just speaks volumes to both of them. So shout out to them for sure for that. It was you did, like you said, you can tell that they really put a lot into it, because you'd think that they've been friends for years, you know.
Right. But let's dive into the juicy part here. So, after the campfire, the nighttime stuff like that, it's time for bed. A little sloshed a bit. Yeah, they get into the tent, they go to sleep. Somebody, Dylan, has to get up and go pee in the wee hours of the late night, early morning. And yeah, we go outside the tent. We're going out for a pee, and then you hear the crackle in the woods. Then you got to bust out your flashlight to see what's going on, because, if you hear something, you're out in the woods. It could be anything. It could be a mountain lion. It can be a bear. It could be anything, because you don't even know what part you're in, what indigenous animals are there, things like that. So, and that's where our story begins. She's looking around a little bit, and she catches the glimpse of a figure. Doesn't look quite human, but is humanoid, and it's sticking out from the tree. And I like how you do the spotlight of the light, right? And it's like, hey-o, and then it just like kind of just like ducks behind the tree. It's like, oh shit, they can see me.
Yeah, I like that too. I thought it was well done. The torches that they had, like the flashlights, they were like they looked a lot like high power, flashlights or whatever. So I think that did it really well, because it like covered such a huge area, and it really lit it up so well that when she's there and she looks over, I mean, you can tell. I mean, I could tell it was a guy in a morph suit, right? One of those like Halloween, like Slender Man type morph suits is what it looked like to me, anyway.
Right.
Especially in the distance, I think it was effective because it was there in like a split second, right? It was there, and then it sort of creeps off, and she's like, "Oh," and that would scare the shit out of me big time. Even if it was like from a movie perspective, you're like, "Oh, it's a guy in a morph suit," but like if you're in that situation, even if you see a guy in a morph suit, I'm freaking out.
Yeah, because I mean, you're the only ones out there supposedly, and then you just see a guy in a random suit, and it may look fake to you, but it's like, what is his intention?
Exactly.
But it's always fun to see things like that when it comes to cryptids, creatures, aliens, things like that. When you can do like quick shots of that, because you're looking around in the woods, you've already scanned that spot, nothing was there. You're going around, and then you come back to it, and it's like, holy shit. You didn't expect it because you've already looked at that spot already.
Right. And I do think that there was a good couple of times where that happened throughout the film. Right when they get there, they sort of they set up. It's already dark by the time they're going into set up camp, right? Which is always. Thankfully, they bought like a pop-up tent, because imagine trying to fucking set up a tent in the pitch black. Like, yeah. Jesus, that would have sucked. They would have saw the meteorite flying past while they were setting it up. It probably would have taken them forever.
I have to applaud their preparedness, because two city girls brought out a pop-up tent versus one that you got to put together. So they were prepared.
Hell yeah. And firewood.
Yeah.
And booze.
That's a key element when you're going camping.
But the one thing I think that they they tripped themselves up on is they didn't really bring much food. They brought snacks, but they didn't bring much food. Especially if you're drinking, right? I know I get snacky when I drink or smoke or something. So
if I'm going camping, I'm bringing an ice chest. I'm bringing a stove or a barbecue pit. I'm making me some ribeyes while I'm out there camping. Like, yeah, I'm gonna have the snacks, but I'm gonna make me some steaks while I'm out there. Maybe a baked potato, you know.
Hell yeah, that's how you do it. But if you're doing it for $20 a night camping on someone's back garden forest, then maybe they're not doing ribeyes and baked potatoes.
They're doing Doritos and melty cheese
and wine.
and wine.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's when it starts to really pick up. Again, going back to the whole link with Wolf Creek for me. Well, not Wolf Creek, Willow Creek. There's a part there where they're sitting in the tent. They're close to each other. They know that something's out there, and that's when they're starting to strategize. The cool little light that they have. I think you got a light similar to that from Spirit, and it's like a light to like.
Oh yeah, the rotating light, and it shows all the little icons or
symbols on the walls and stuff. Yeah, I think that was a nice little touch as well. It looked like a fun time, Like, I'm not one for camping. I'm not a camping type of guy, but it looked fun.
Dude, I am the camper.
You're the camper.
Yeah, I go camping and fishing. But so she comes back from this. She's freaked out, right? She comes back into the tent. She's waking up. Name.
Minnie.
She's waking up Minnie, and she, she's scared to shit. She saw something. She saw someone. They're up and they're, now she's scared too because what the hell did you see? And it's funny because you can hear the walking outside, like stepping on sticks and leaves and stuff. And Minnie, being Minnie, she's yelling out, who is that out there? And things like that. And that's what creeped me out, right? Because you're in a tent. It has no protection, right? Like if a bear just wanted to walk right through it, or a lion or whatever, they're gonna come right through, right? It's a piece of fabric or nylon or whatever it is. And what was creepy about it was as soon as she said, who's out there, you get the repeat, but it's in her voice, like it's mimicking her voice. That would scare the shit out of me. Being from like, the South, you hear a lot of stories about like skinwalkers because they mimic people. Right, yeah. So like when you're like in the mountains and things like that, there's that fear that, you heard the stories of skinwalkers, then you hear something repeating your voice. But, if something calls out to you, you're not supposed to call back out to it. And this dum-dum over here wanted to, call back out. So, I mean, not to say that it is a skinwalker, obviously, but you know what I mean? If I was in that situation, that things like that would start running through my head because, growing up in the South, you hear stories like that.
Totally. Yeah, that would scare me, especially if it was like pitch perfect to like as if I'd heard myself.
Right, like an echo.
That would scare the shit out of me, man. Even if it's like, someone with like a recorder and they're like playing it back, like that's one thing. But this is like, it's like as if it's like adjusting its voice to suit what you just said, right? Because it's kind of like it tapers off a little bit to begin with, and then it's like more so like repeating it back almost verbatim in the exact same pitch and tone and everything. Is like fucking no. Absolutely not. And then that's where they do the smart thing and they're like, okay, maybe we should get to the car. And again, to Dylan's point, you have to commend her for being like, no, we're leaving the stuff. We'll come back tomorrow. We need to go now. They're not trying to like, pick up bags and all that and try and run through the forest. Nah.
So you see that they're leaving, right? I can understand picking up and going and being afraid, but they forgot a key thing, which was the keys to the car. Like, that was like, if you're gonna take nothing with you and just one thing, it would be the keys to the vehicle that you came in. But they obviously forgot it, so it was Minnie's idea to find the cabin and they found the cabin, and it creeped me out because she was gone. Right, Dylan stayed on the front porch by the door. She went around the side, and then boom, she popped in from the sliding door, like a goddamn ghost, swinging the door open, and it's like surprise. That kind of freaked me out a little bit. It's like, how the hell did she get in there? Oh, there was a window that was open. It's like, okay, well, that makes sense, but still, you scared the shit out of me.
And around about this time, there's a couple of creepy things that I want to talk about. First one is when when Minnie is they when they're going through the forest, come back through the car, they see like an old foundation.
Oh yeah,
and that's when they hear like creaking and things like that, and like someone's over there. So she's like, I'm gonna go and like see who it is. If someone's stalking me, I want to see who it is, right? Dumb idea. Leave it. I don't need to know. But she goes in and she's looking around, and she goes right round the corner, and it's like, I know you're there. I know you're there, shining the torch. No one's there. And then she goes away. She's like, oh wait, I've chickened out. Turns around and she stops, and then turns back around because she's like trying to trick them into like popping out. Turns around, and then there's like the masked sort of figure in the corner of the area, and then it like moves its head back and it's like creaking away, and she's like, nope. And then they rewatch the footage, and you see it and all that, and it's like, fucking hell, that would scare the hell out of me so much.
That whole bit there gave me like Blair Witch vibes, where they're at the ruins, but also like when they're in the basement and going through the old house. It kind of gave me that vibe, that feeling, like that eeriness.
Right, yeah, because it's like an old ass house and stuff, so
right.
It makes sense, yeah. And it had like, it was like make love not war or something along those lines, like written on the wall, which is like a very like Vietnam type thing, and that's when there was a lot of like alien. I think there was an increased amount of alien sightings is when it started to pick up in the 60s and all that.
Right.
And yeah, like that was like a creepy little thing. I don't know if that was there or not. And yeah, I think it was like the perfect setting for like the creepy thing to happen. And then yeah, they get to the cabin, and that's where they break in, and Dylan's standing outside. You can hear like the sort of creaking and like the sort of that creepy ass fucking.
It's like a click.
Like a click, yeah. Like that's the best way to describe it.
It's like a gargle click.
Yeah, and yeah, I thought it was so creepy the way that's done. And then Minnie opens the door. She's like, "Oh, there's a window open." So they're doing their rounds, trying to find like a phone or whatever. I don't know if you picked up on this. I was certain I picked up on it the first time, and then when I saw it again, I definitely picked up on it. But when Minnie, I think it's Minnie, maybe Dylan, is walking through the house. There's a part where she goes into one of the rooms, and she like goes past a window, and the blinds are open, and I'm fairly certain there's like a white like face down the bottom, and then she like goes and then stops and goes back and looks, and it's gone.
I don't remember that. I'd have to go back and look at it.
I'll find out where it is in the movie, and I'll tell you where to go. But yeah, that I saw that, and I was like, holy shit. Which is like another like, again, Charman type thing. It's use of a mask sort of in the background, just sort of ever so slightly there. He's blink and you'll miss it type thing. I like that. I thought that was really creepy. And then go through the house and all that, and find all the empty rooms and things like that. This is where it starts to take a bit of a lull, in my opinion. And I mean, it's fairly common in found footage movies. There's not really the initial surge of the action of them running away to them now sort of being in that protective hiding mode. You sort of hunker down, and nothing really too much happens. And that's where they start to talk more with each other, and that's when they decide to go to bed and things like that. And from there, that's when it starts to ramp up a bit more.
What I thought that was really funny was Minnie went through the fridge. There wasn't really much in there. There was like random things that didn't even make sense or go together. And they're sitting at the table, and she comes over to sit at the table, and she's just randomly got some grapes and what looks like string cheese or something along that line. And I'm thinking, like, where the hell did she get these grapes and string cheese? That wasn't in the fridge.
Yeah, it's funny as well. I think I had the same thought, honestly. Looking back at it, yeah.
And it was funny because it was kind of like a raccoon or a hamster, right? Like she comes over with this food, sits at the table, and she's nibbling at it, and then suddenly she has to go to the bathroom and she gathers all the food to take it with her. I thought that was the weirdest thing. Like, you're taking the food with you to the bathroom.
That's so funny.
I don't know, it's just little things like that you catch your eye, and it's like, why are we doing this? But it's still hilarious to watch.
Right. That's the joys of horror comedies, or like, found footage horror comedies. They have those little charming moments, like from some of the characters. It may be completely like,
Pointless,
didn't even think of it at the time, or it's pointless.
Yeah.
But like, as soon as you notice it, you can't unsee it, and it's like,
Right.
it adds that charm, that charm to the character, to the story, to the film. Yeah, I
Right.
dig that. Yeah, those small little details I think were really, really quite funny. Yes, when they're sitting on the couch and Dylan's like, "Are you gonna go?" Or it was Minnie who's like, "Are we gonna sleep with all the lights on?" And Dylan's like, "I wasn't gonna sleep." And she's like, "Oh yeah, no, me neither." Yeah, I don't know why I thought of that. I don't know why I said that.
One of the creepy parts was when Minnie goes to the bathroom with her little hoard of food. Dylan's in the kitchen by herself, and all of a sudden, there's like a beam of light that comes through the what looks like the front door, right? Because it looks like they came through the back door. And she goes over there to kind of like freak out and what's happening, and tells Minnie about it. And they can see the light comes through again, and they're looking outside, and it's like the lights from the car. And all of a sudden you just see the lights in the hallway flicker and go out, and then it just starts like a chain effect where it starts going through the house, the flicker, and then it just goes to straight black.
Yeah. No, that would scare the hell out of me. Like when we went to the lake house first time, there was like a blackout, like the power shut down, and it was like in winter and stuff. So like I have not like it was the same sort of scenario, but the power was out and it was just like shit. It's quite scary. But yeah, they went to pitch black, and there was probably no street lights or anything like that there either, right? So it was truly pitch black. And yeah, many always run around going to check out what's happening, like, and there's a little bit of a tiff between them when Dylan's like, oh, like freaking out, and she's like, why aren't you like freaking out right now? And she's like, I am freaking out. I'm just trying to be strong. Like something that you can't do apparently, and like that's where she's just like, I'm so sorry, like I didn't mean it like that.
Yeah, she really fucking went at her with that one. It's like, damn.
Yeah, that was a little cheap pop right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, from there, that's when they go to sleep, and then in the morning is where you think you're safe, in the broad daylight, but really you're not. Also, as well, another key point where just before we go into what happens in the morning is that when they're in the place, when Minnie goes out, she's looking around. Dylan walks up to the door, and then this big alien hand comes in the door, like cracking away. Yeah, that was creepy as well. That was well done.
And then she comes in right after, like it happened.
Yeah.
And she saw, like, you didn't see that what just happened? Like, you didn't see anybody out there? No, it was just right there. You had to have seen him. No, I didn't see anybody. Yeah.
It was some subtle foreshadowing, I think.
Right. Definitely.
Hell yeah. But yeah, in the morning they wake up, and again I think this was quite an interesting way to get us through to the end of the story, the end of the movie. Was Dylan waking up, and it's from her perspective, and she's in there, she's making herself coffee. Like they're not like freak out. For me, I'd be like okay, get up, we need to go get the stuff, let's move right now, and then we're gone, we're out of here.
Right.
She's off
Stop.
making herself coffee and, like stretching, like, oh, what a lovely sleep I've had.
Yeah, I would have been out the door. I'll stop at Timmy Hortons on the way out.
Hell yeah. I'd be stopping at fucking, some Jimmy's gas station or whatever. Fucking drink some toilet water while I'm there.
Put the straw in the toilet.
Yeah. Rather than be waiting around to get fucking stolen by some aliens,
Yeah, for sure. I wouldn't be making myself coffee. I'd be trying to get out.
But I mean, it is that again, that vehicle to separate them, and
Right.
that's where we start to dive into. She's looking for Minnie, and she sees the doors open. She goes into the woods, and that's where she's trying to find her way to the tent. And when she does that, and it was quite interesting when she finds the tent, because she like opens it and there's like flies in there, and
Right.
she's like, "Oh, like what's that smell?" And this is where I'm kind of like, is this because she's supposed to be dead, or is this because the aliens stink like ass? That
Yeah. Yeah, it's as soon as that happened, I was kind of like, why are you sifting through everything if everything smells like shit,
Yeah.
But I understand getting the keys right at the same time. But yeah, so she's sifting through all that stuff, and all of a sudden you cut to the right where Minnie was sleeping originally. There's like a bodied figure there, and she's kind of like hesitant to pull the sheets back, and she does, and she finds Minnie. The one gripe that I will have about it is the underwhelming response to her best friend's death. Like I feel like the response was a little underwhelming. If I had to like nitpick at one thing.
Right. Yeah. This part is sort of where I found it a little lackluster, and it was the fact that she'd had her throat cut.
Right.
By an alien, right? You'd think honestly, they probably didn't even have to show her body at all, or a body at all to do that, because I mean, as we come to find out, that ultimately the aliens, they'll murder and in order to mimic or duplicate or copy, to basically take on your form in order to observe life on this planet, I guess.
But at the same time, it kind of makes you think, maybe these aliens have been observing our behavior for some time, and they could not be that far from us. So slitting somebody's throat could be something that either they picked up, or just something that is part of their way of life, as far as like crime, or one alien murdering another one, out of whatever reason. So
Fair
I mean,
point.
there's that part too, if you think into it.
That is a fair point. And it kind of goes into like another theory that I'm going to position this theory in a little bit when we talk about the end, right? Yeah, that's a really interesting way of thinking of it. I think watching this a couple of times has really done me good, because initially I wasn't too enamored. I was just kind of like, the ending kind of left a bad taste. But the more I've watched it, the more I've picked up on things, and the more I'm sort of really invested in the characters and invested in their story between each other, and there's so much that I picked up along the way that I think this film has such a charm to it. And
Right.
Again, I keep saying Charman, but like that's the same sort of vibes I got from Charman. Like when I first saw it, I was like, it was all right. I mean, there was a couple of moments, but I wasn't like fully like, okay, this was horrible. I was like,
Right.
I'm seeing these like nuggets of charm coming through, and like those are the parts that's really stuck out to me. So again, seeing it again and again sort of really solidified that, and I thought that was a really awesome thing. It was exciting.
And it's sometimes, well, not sometimes, but I mean, it's good in general when you get these things when you're observing for the first time, and then you can go back and watch it and rethink it. But like, for instance, the whole alien slitting of the throat, like, an alien could have just killed you telepathically, or a different kind of way, right? But now you've seen it, and you can step back and think now, well, as part of them mimicking us, or trying to take over, did they also inherit part of our consciousness that intertwines with theirs? So now not only their knowledge but ours, our way of thinking, our desperation, our fears, our anger, things like that intertwine, and they suddenly have the knowledge of, hey, let's go for the throat. And
100%. Yeah. And I mean, we don't see too much, right? It's really just a thing that we see very briefly. So I mean, it could be a case of like, it's not just like it does like a little thin around the neck, but maybe they just just like a quick thing, precision, again, in line with aliens, right? So yeah, it was, apart from me, I wasn't a huge fan of it in the moment, but talking about it, it's quite fun, quite interesting. And then that's where we find out what happens to her, and she goes back, and Dylan watches the video because her phone's still recording, right? She stops recording, and that's where it takes you back, and it sort of basically picks up where Dylan goes off to go and make coffee, and you start to hear the voices outside. Like it opens up the screen door telepathically, and then starts to call for Minnie in Dylan's voice, and that's where we start to see her. She doesn't really know. What I also find interesting is that she then doesn't know where she's going, like in the broad daylight now, because I guess when they went it was dark, and they navigated through the woods in the dark coming home. Now they don't know where the fuck they're going, so she's going around, and like there's all these like national park signs and like all that, like, oh, this means people, and finally she gets there, and that's where she starts to go through the or before she gets there, she comes across one of the creatures, and probably one of the another creepy scene that she has, where Minnie backs up against the tree, like she sort of sees a figure and then like darts behind, and then she's trying to like film behind her to look at it, and it's like right there with like its head all white, almost look like fucking the thing from Prometheus.
Yeah.
Right, the engineer. And it looked like that, and then just sort of snarls and sort of clicks and chases her.
But also too, as she's going through the woods, she noticed before she saw the alien, the little like meteor streaks going through the air.
That's right. Yeah. More of them.
But more of them. So obviously there's more than one coming down. So that gives you a hint there as well. But it's funny, the clicks and the gargles remind me very much of Signs.
Right, yeah.
Because the aliens did a similar click and gargle. So that one, as soon as I heard the noises from the alien, I was like, hey, Signs,
Hell yeah. Yep. No, there's a lot of stuff to unpack with this one, which is a lot of fun. Especially again, considering it's low budget found footage, right? When you find these things, it's really fun to talk about them. And that's where we start to find out more about the mimic aspect of it, and it starts to take a little bit of a turn, where I didn't really expect it to go. I fully expected either it was just aliens that were just going to kill them, or it was going to be the boyfriend, the abusive boyfriend, was going to, like, it turns out he's actually like abusing both of them by like fucking making them think that people are following them, or making them go crazy type thing.
Right.
Or it was just going to be like something else entirely. I didn't really expect the mimic element for them to like take over the friend's body, right?
Right.
And that's where she like runs back to the cabin, and they have their conversation, and they're like, she turns her phone back on. She gets back to the car. She sees Minnie. Before that, the mimic of Minnie,
right,
is like walking back and forth, like
trying to like rehearse.
Like rehearsing, like, hello there, hi there, hi, hello. I've had enough of the fresh air. I'd like to go home. That was a
You
fun.
know the way home.
Yeah. And then that's where we sort of she turns her phone back on, and that's when her abusive boyfriend. That's when he starts banging at the door, pulls up to the driveway, and we rather than have a confrontation between the alien and the and Dylan at that point, it's then a case of, you know, she almost explains her situation as like, this guy hurts me, and she's like, she's like, why don't you take him, like almost like offering up him instead. And she's like,
Right.
turning on your own kind, interesting.
Yeah, the aliens specified that they're, you know, taking over hosts, and it's coming kind of like down to a showdown between Minnie and Dylan, or what we call fake Minnie. You know, for Dylan to be a host, and she, you know, hears the boyfriend banging, and, you know, the aliens asking, well, who's that? Oh, that's nobody. And, you know, and then you feel the pause. Well, wait a minute. If you need a host so bad, you know, there's this guy. And then, you know, like you said, oh, you're turning on your own kind. It's like, no, you don't understand. This guy's a piece of shit. He beats my ass. He abuses me mentally and physically. Like, he's not going to be missed if you take him. So, I mean, between me and him, I think you should take him. And, you know, the alien is intrigued by, you know, this whole turn of events. Like, wow, like, this is like human nature at its finest, you know, and says, I think you should do it. Gives her the meat cleaver to, you know, go to the door. And he's over there, you know, I'm going to break down the door if you don't answer it, and this and that. And she's holding the cleaver, and she's going to the door, like very slowly, like hesitantly trying to do it. And then that's when she grabs the lock and click. And that's where we end the movie.
Hell yeah. And you know, here's my theory for this. I've been quite excited to talk about it. So initially, again, I said I've watched this a few times. Initially, when I saw this ending, I was like, I was expecting them to like open the door, or like, you know, hear in the background like the other aliens like rip them apart, or, you know, something like that, or some sort of confrontation, or, you know, something. I don't know. So I was like, yeah, wasn't a huge fan of the end. And then we watched it again, and it was Serena, actually. She brought up a very good point of what she's ultimately doing. What Dylan is ultimately doing is like, and the purpose of their trip there to planet Earth, of course, is to observe, right? And what she's then instilling in her by giving her the knife and then going up to the door and then, like, you know, doing that, is she's saying, like, why don't you ultimately mimic him? He hurt you, so you should hurt him. Was quite an interesting way of thinking of it, and sort of turning that ending into a bit more philosophical, like, you know,
Interesting. Okay.
right, where it's like, rather than like just this sort of lackluster, the psychology behind it is actually like she's actually stepping up to the door, she's about to unlock it, and she's got a meat cleaver in her hand, so she's about to do it, and then it you know, it cuts black, and it then is like the car backing up after the initial, you know, film has ended. There's like a cut to a couple of different scenes where it's playing the radio. It's like coming back into out of the static, and the radio's playing. It's reporting about the large meteors, and they're across multiple places, and like it's becoming more of a thing. And that's quite eerie in terms of the music that's being played, as well as the news that's coming across. And she's, you know, driving away from that. So yeah, I actually kind of found that quite an interesting theory. She's like, well, we mimic you, so why don't you mimic him, type of thing. And I was like, damn, it's quite profound.
Yeah, that's a good one right there. I didn't expect it, you know, or to look at it from that point of view. It's just kind of like she was going to kill him to, you know, offer him up as a host, or to be mimicked. But yeah, that's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah,
That's their that's her true nature to, invade, mimic, take over, and blend in. Well, now this guy's doing what he does to you. Why don't you mimic him and do it right back to him?
Exactly. So yeah, I thought it was a really really like smart way of thinking of it. Because really, again, you don't see it, and I think that absence of seeing it, you come to expect, especially nowadays in horror where everything's all shown to you. I think it's, especially when it builds up to that point where it's like, oh, now we're gonna see some like fucking, gore or something like that. Like sometimes it doesn't need it, and I think this was a good example of that.
Right.
I think definitely watching it a couple of times for me was very helpful in giving that added charm. I knew there was something I liked about it when I first watched it. I wasn't happy with the end, and just that lull in the middle, and there's all evident sound issues in some areas, but overall I think it's definitely a film that has some charm to it. I love a good horror comedy, and found footage horror comedy specifically is one that's really hitting on all niches, and just the vibe of this was just it was fun, man. It was a fun watch.
Yeah, I dig the ride. Of course, the two gripes that I had were the sound of the high pitch penis, and the gathering of the food and taking it to the bathroom like that. I don't know, that was the two biggest gripes for me. But in the end, you appreciate them because that adds uniqueness to the character, right? So they have a personality now that they can carry throughout the film. So it was good. It was a good ride, and I mean we ended with aliens, so I mean I can't complain.
Exactly. Yeah, it was a fun like alien one, and I think like in like Charman specifically, like they when they made that, it didn't have like the expectation of seeing something was there, and that ultimately didn't happen. But with this, you actually see a lot more
Yeah.
throughout, which I think is really impactful, and the alien design and the creature really making use of things on clearly a smaller budget shoestring probably, and an interesting fact that I found out just by looking up this film, apparently like 2 days before they started shooting, they were going to be they had a location scouted for Big Bear National Park, I believe, and it ultimately got hit by wildfires. So
Oh wow.
it halted literally everything. I can't even imagine, putting everything and all that effort and all that energy into getting ready to make a film, and then it's suddenly like taken away from you. Like that's wild. And
Yeah.
Ultimately, they then found the cabin that they shot at. They found that, and they like really last minute, and ultimately found a lot more locations where they could actually film at. So like where they filmed was like insanely good for actually picking out a location to shoot. So that was really it's such, again, found footage punk rock lifestyle of filmmaking. It's just fucking you get it done, and they got
Right.
it done. So kudos to them. I know as well. I was talking to Alexis, who plays Minnie, a little bit. I was sharing some videos about the show that were coming up, and ultimately, what happened is while they were filming Jabberjaw, it took them 4 days apparently to film it, which is again shoestring timeline. But she ended up having the period from hell, is how she described it. So she's happy. She's happy that it came across so well. So and that people enjoy it. So yeah. And as I said, talk about turning pain into art. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I noticed that a few people that have interacted on Instagram, they're quite the fan of it. So there are some people out there that quite enjoy it.
hell yeah.
Well, let's not waste any more time. Let's rate this sucker.
Absolutely. I was thinking about this a lot actually today when we were going to do this. And the more and more I thought about the film, the more and more I thought about the characters and the way things are. I think for me, I'm probably going to give it like a four tapes. Um, I initially I was thinking three, and then I was thinking 3.5. And the more and more that we've been talking about it, the more and more we've been diving into it. It's not perfect by any means. Some people may not resonate with the styling of it or the pacing of it. It's just over an hour and 10 minutes long. You can watch it on Found TV, and for that, you really get what you really get what you want from a found footage film. Like it's relatively short, and it packs a lot in there, and you can tell it was made with like a labor of love, and the camaraderie between the characters I think really helps to build that and build the characters, and the journey up there builds the lore, and we see stuff at the end of the day. Like that's really the thing in found footage. A lot of them lack that sight into creatures or beasts or whatever they're being taken by. You're really taking people's word for it, and I think this is one where it made a conscious effort to try and bring something different, bring something unique, explain the way that the camera is working and why this was particular footage, and for that, kudos to them. Four tapes for me.
Excellent. So with me, it's going to be 3 tapes. I quite enjoyed the alien aspect of everything. That was great. Now looking back, there's a lot of psychology to it and things like that. I did have minor gripes, but I mean, it's still very well done with the short amount of time, the budget and everything. But I mean, beyond that, I don't know what else I could say. It's 3 tapes. By any means, it's not a bad rating on my point. I'm not saying it's a bad movie or anything. It's great. You should go check it out. It's just my personal rating. So what's going to be mine is not what's going to be yours. And again, it's not a negative rating on my part. It's just where I put it at.
Solid. Yeah. And honestly, like when it comes to found footage, like getting anything over a 2, I think is an accomplishment in itself, because it's a genre that lends itself to criticism, and
Right.
Like the fans are so diehard that they will nitpick, they will fight for their opinions to be heard, and I love that. The passion from found footage fans is just fantastic, and we love what we do, and with Found TV you can see pretty much some of the best found footage movies out there. It's curated to specifically the genre. It's curated with love from some awesome people, and you should definitely check it out if you haven't already. If you do check it out and you want to get a subscription, it is free, but it does come with ads. If you want to get a subscription, if you use the code We Found a Tape, then you'll be able to get some dough off your annual subscription as well. So it makes it a little cheaper for you. And yeah, loved it. Really had a good time watching Jabberjaw.
Yeah, it was a great ride. I'm down to watch it again in the future, and I highly recommend anybody listening give it a watch too. Especially if you're a fan of cryptids, aliens, things like that. It does not disappoint on that. I would say just be mindful that there's psychology sometimes to these movies. So if you watch it the first time, it didn't sit well with you, watch it a second time, where you can analyze it and see the differences that we're seeing now, seeing it, another time around.
Totally. No, I agree with you. And yeah, if you dug this episode, be sure to follow us on all social media. We're on Instagram at We Found a Tape, along with anywhere you listen to podcasts. That's Spotify, Amazon, Apple Music, and Google.
Absolutely.
We're also on YouTube as well. I always forget about YouTube, but yeah, check us out on YouTube. I think as well, another great thing to announce is that we're part of the Echo Cell Collective, which is a great group of horror film creators and content creators who are putting out film reviews, cosplays, podcasts, and it's just a great a great experience we've had so far. They were fortunate enough to accept us and made an announcement, which was awesome. We're joined by some great esteemed colleagues, horribly opinionated and hyped on horror, just recently joined as well. Pretty killer podcast. You know, a lot of people that we interact with a lot and who are really supportive of the channel, and I think it's great to be a part of such a cool new movement. And definitely check them out on social media. We'll put their links in the description as well.
Absolutely. We'll have some good things coming in the future. We got some episodes coming for you. We've got some good stuff, so stay tuned. But I think that'll be it for us. We'll see you down the road. And don't forget, be kind and rewind.